Tech Addicts Episode 3, The TikTok Timebomb. This week, the Nintendo Switch 2 teaser trailer, big boomboxes from Ion, a Brad Pitt scam, crappy subscriptions from Canon, sex toys with Bluetooth, and TikTok being banned in the US. Hello and welcome to the Tech Addicts podcast. I'm Gareth. This is Ted. And you're listening to the Tech... Hello?
Oh, blimey. I've got a pack of ice on my knee because my knee's knackered. I'm too old. And it's getting very cold and very uncomfortable. Do carry on with your lovely show.
Well, I'm concerned. As a seasoned cottager, do you find this happens a lot around this time of year?
A seasoned cottager. I don't know what I've done to it. I reckon that I twisted it or something, but I can't remember an event. It's one of those things where I must have done something to it, but I just can't remember. Perhaps I did it in my sleep. Perhaps I turned over in bed and turned it round the corner, and yes, we won't go there.
Oh, right, okay. Drunken cottaging as well, right. I see. Splendid, are we? Fair enough. Yeah. Well, welcome back to another thrilling week of tech news, and we picked up a few pearls of news for us to talk about in the world of tech today, and I'm guessing people are going to go, oh, well, obviously there's a big news story, and we'll get into that fairly soon. First up is the feedback and fallout contributions, and if you do want to get in touch with us and have your name read out by yours truly, and let's face it, who would, you can get us by emailing us at gareth@techaddicts.uk. You can find us on Twitter at techaddictsuk. You can find me and Ted on Twitter as well, and also you can go into the MeWe group and have a chat there with us, or you can go to Mastodon or Blue Sky and find us there that way if it's your preference.
Very exciting.
So Ted, what feedback do we have this week? Anything?
Oh no, we can't. Hang on a minute, we haven't done our weather report yet. I mean, for goodness sake, people expect that now.
I do apologise.
Yeah, right, okay, it's 4 degrees here and no wind and cloudy and feeling very wintry, and it's enough to give you the flu. What's it like there?
Well, it's 7 degrees actually, no wind, cloudy, and enough to make you want to stay indoors and sit and watch The Great Escape, which might be happening today for me.
Excellent. Right, now we can get to feedback.
Sorry. Here we go. Ted, has anyone written in?
The only bit of feedback we've had really is that a few people, including Chad Dixon, hello Chad, have said have reaffirmed that the shorter, more regular format of show is preferable. They like it. Quality and over quantity is the watchword. Mind you, they won't be saying that after we've done our 10-week stint and then there's 10 weeks missing. They'll then be saying, oh, blimey, I wish it was every 2 weeks now instead of every week. Then we wouldn't have had a 10-week break. But there's no pleasing everyone.
It does give... it's not for us to recharge, it's for the listener to recharge as well. I don't think they could tolerate me for 52 weeks through the year. That just goes without say. Also... yeah, it's great that we're not getting very much in the way of feedback, because that means we're just doing everything perfectly. And we're covering everything. And people are just satisfied. No, they are. There's hundreds of people every single week.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Right, okay. Well, if that, without further ado, I suppose we'll just move straight into the news, because that's what you're all here for. Mm-hmm. First up is the big announcement. I suppose it comes from a small announcement where there was a leak at CES from a small company showing off the Nintendo Switch 2 that they were designing cases for. So Nintendo, after they'd tried legally to stop things and take action against that small company and not being able to, decided to hastily put together a little video that kind of shows off all the bits and pieces of the Nintendo Switch 2 and throw it out there because there's far too much in the way of speculation as to what's going on, and this sort of clears almost everything up, and everyone is really happy. I have to say, I haven't seen too many saying, "Oh, this doesn't look very good." Everything seems to be very positive around this, even though we don't have full concrete specifications as to what's going to be inside it. We have a better idea of what it's going to be, and it seems to be less is more here, and it's a very good example of that. Ted, what did you make of the new Nintendo Switch 2 hardware?
Oh, I was so excited. I got my Nintendo Switch light out and fired it up, and then realised that the battery was dead. And then when I charged it, I realised that I'd decided to not contribute to Nintendo's coffers by cancelling my annual subscription, so I couldn't really play very much. But I'll link in the show notes to Martin's the Friday checkout, because he somehow I suppose he must have got his videos from somewhere, but he on his video he got some really insightful images of the whole device moving around in 3D. Maybe it was just somebody's render that they kind of put together. Anyway,
That's all from the Nintendo one. I watched it earlier.
Okay. It looks very nice though. I do like the look of it. I like the fact that it's got a bit bigger. There seems to be some question about whether it's going to be OLED or LCD, or whether they're going to release both of them. I don't like the fact that it's going to be a minimum of £400 by the looks of it. Although that again, that is speculation as well. That nobody really knows how much it's going to cost. Or at least they didn't when I last looked at the data out there. And it's not going to be here until, when was it? September. It's some way off, isn't it? But it does look nice, and I wonder if they're going to do another new light as well, which does the same thing. I did like the look of the new Mario Kart game that appears to be coming with it, or I don't know if they're going to bundle that with it, or whether you've got to buy it separately, but the graphics on these Mario games are just so incredibly good. I know that you game in different ways with different standards, I think, but whenever I look at one of these Nintendo Mario games, I think, my goodness, it's so polished, it's so well done, childish as it might be, and cartoony as it might be. It's just so well thought through and done. Anyway, I'll be all over this, and as long as it's not £400, I'll stretch to 300. There you go, Nintendo. I've thrown down the gauntlet.
Well, I'd agree that this is actually it's an inspired piece of hardware. I really am quite taken by it. Nintendo things have changed so much for Nintendo, where whenever the Switch was coming to fruition, they were going up against the likes of the PS3 and the Xbox 360, and it wasn't a console that could really be compared to those, because it couldn't handle the power. However, it had the portability built right into it, so people were happy enough to be able to have a hybrid console that they could play at home and then play whenever they're away. This, I feel, has much more of a vicious competitor in the Steam Deck, because the Steam Deck can do pretty much all this can do as well, where you can play it at home, you can plug it into your TV, and then you can play it on the go as well. But you can stream larger AAA titles from your computer if it's got the power to it, and have a better gaming experience on the go than a Nintendo Switch or a Nintendo Switch 2 could really manage. What they've done is they've sort of brought it up a notch to be able to compete with the Steam Deck a good deal more, whilst kind of forgetting about Xboxes and PlayStations, because they are savagely taking on each other, and Nintendo can just swoop in and be a little option that people can do, that if you don't want to get into that whole PlayStation, or have it in addition to it, because the portability is the key factor here. The Switch 2 is going to be 14% larger than the original Nintendo Switch, where they're increasing the size of the screen from what was it, 6.2 inch on the original to 8 inch now. The OLED that came out in 2021 had a 7-inch screen, so it's larger again, and it's about 25% bigger than the original Switch. It's, from what they can gather from the leaks, they know what console motherboard it's going to have, and that's going to be powered by the NVIDIA custom Tegra 239 processor, which is a very powerful processor, and it should be able to have visuals up to 4K when docked, which is going to be interesting to see just how well that works out. Storage is going to be one that is a big factor whenever you think about the amount of storage that you require. Having the SD card really makes that a trivial factor, but whenever you've got the main storage on board, I think the Switch comes with, is it 32 gigabytes built in as standard? Is that right?
Not sure.
Yeah, I think I vaguely remember having to wrestle with that when my son was trying to get his, and having to go and get him another SD card so he can install more games, because games are getting larger and larger, so you can have less on the main storage and you have to go out and buy a costly SD card, which most people have knocking around anyway. It's rumoured to be featuring 12 gigabytes of RAM with up to 256 gigabytes of built-in UFS 3.1 storage, which would be much nicer. There's 2 USB-C ports on it and a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is crucial. That was one of the big concerns, was that they were going to follow suit and get rid of that, but that's going to kick a lot of kids in the teeth who have a nice pair of headphones, and their parents aren't going to rush out and buy them Bluetooth ones.
Oh, here we
And
go. Sorry to interrupt you. The OLED, the newer OLED Switch was 64 gig, but the original Switch and the Switch Lite was 32 with the LCD.
Ah, well, there you go. But the kickstand is one of the things that is taking most people by surprise, and how well thought out that is, with the extra bumps there that are going to take the weight off the kickstand, and you can actually set it down almost flush. Disconnect those controllers that are going to be held in by magnets as opposed to the slidey reels that they have currently.
That's good.
And there's imagery in the video that Nintendo put out that these slide around like mice as well, and you can use them like mice, which means you can play Dune 2 and Command & Conquer on here.
I couldn't quite understand how that mouse thing's going to work, because you wouldn't have any buttons where naturally your index finger would fall for a mouse button. You'd have to do it all with your...
button. There's a shoulder button under your index finger.
Is there?
Yeah, up there in the corner.
All right. But when I saw the video of someone using that, they were doing everything with their thumb on the joystick on the side. But yeah, okay, all right. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean.
It's another extra bit of control. There's a lot of controls there. If you think about that compared to a gaming mouse, where you have tons of controls all over the top of it and things like that people dig around with their 2 fingers. Those 2 fingers have 2 buttons underneath them, but then the thumb is going to have a lot of controls available to it. And that could actually be a real game changer, and PC mice even might start going this way. Nintendo could be reinventing the wheel here and making a packet, because if they do the patent on mouse joypad things like this, then everyone's going to have to pay them to be able to redesign the mouse.
What do you reckon that button's for? The one that no one seems to know what it is.
Yeah, it's probably just a sync button or something like that. If it was to lose sync, or to identify, it probably turns on the lights, so and those lights are so that you know which controller you're on. There's 4 little LEDs on the Switch,
right? And
then one of them lights up to show that you were number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. They might not stay on all the time, and you can press that button, and it might do syncing, and it might do showing off what position you are, so that it saves just a little bit of battery power by not having another LED that's constantly being lit. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
It could also open up a portal that teleports you across to Tahiti.
I didn't realise that the OLED one, the one that they brought out with the OLED screen, is actually 350 quid. I didn't realise that it was so expensive. So 400 quid won't be too far off the mark, really, will it?
No, they've got to bring it in under the Steam Deck, but enough that they're still going to be making a decent amount of profit.
Yeah. Mind you, they'll probably make their profit on the games, won't they? Because everybody, bar none, in Japan will be just loading all their income from their salary into Nintendo's coffers, and because they'll want all the games.
Well, the announcement is not until April.
Yes.
And this is a bit of a teaser up until then, because I feel they had to, because it's not a well-kept secret, but there's just been so much speculation in the 7 years that we've been waiting for a Switch 2. So this is going to be the killer this Christmas. It really is. And we're going to see the PlayStation 5 and Xbox, whatever it's called again, pre-order market all over again, where you just can't get these for love nor money.
Mm-hmm.
And scalpers are going to be stepping in, so Nintendo need to have that sorted out. They've got plenty of time to sort it out and get little Billy and little Millie this for their Christmas box.
This could be the first time that I've actually had a Switch proper. I don't believe that I've ever actually used a Switch proper. Only the light handheld. But this is so attractive looking. You think, perhaps I should try and find a way. And particularly if it's OLED and second-hand. I wait for 3 months and some silly sod will be selling theirs for about 250 quid.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it'll ever... I don't even think the original Switch dropped to that level, because I've always toyed with the idea of getting one. And I've spoken to my stepdaughter, who I bought one for whenever it first came out, and she's recently betrothed that to my son, who's now playing it. And I can't believe that it's still holding together. Mm. It does feel that it's had a lot of abuse over the years, and she's used it for all of the Zelda games and things like that. It's been her main go-to console. And I'd say that she has looked after it, but she's not the most careful person I've met in the world. And it does feel that it's really getting towards the end of its life. But I wouldn't have expected it to last this long at all. There's hardware like phones or whatever that are better built than the Nintendo Switch originally was, and they're well dead.
I like the magnetic thing on it. That's great. Because I do remember the slidey up and down thing that I was aware of. I don't think I ever tried it for myself, but having a magnet in there, I think that's a great idea.
Mm.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and we'll catch up with this in April, and then we'll watch the release in September.
Definitely.
It probably won't release in September. It'll release in time for Christmas.
Yeah, announced in September. No, not announced. Yeah. Yes, something
confirmed for pre-order in September,
yeah.
And then it'll ship in November 29th or something like that, so that Billy and Millie can have it for Christmas. Ain't that fun? With a new Mario game too. So next up, Ted, you're getting excited about an 80s style boombox.
Yeah, I remember these very fondly. Look at that picture on this website we're linking to it. Silodrome, and have a look at that picture at the top there, and you tell me if those pictures of the gauges left and right on the top panel have not been photoshopped in really badly.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
So
really badly, and the one on the left is particularly bad.
Yeah. So I can't imagine that those two things are actually going to be there on this device when it arrives. Although the picture further down does look as though they might be. And the one further down again looks like they might... Yeah, it's just that top one that's been done really badly. Anyway, this is a boombox brought into the modern era. So a 1980s style boombox with Bluetooth and lots of buttons and knobs and dials and cassette tape player, which is coming back, as we know, and yeah, I mean, what's to say about it really, except that it's just as I described. It's it's got a radio, it's got Bluetooth streaming capability, a USB-A port, so you can plug in your music to the side of it. It's got presumably, I don't know where it says here about batteries. It's 16 inches wide, and yeah, it looks very much like the same kind of footprint that we were used to back in the day. Oh, it's already on sale, look, 129 quid. And you can get it in different colours as well. I think that the main thing about this for me is just like my Marshall kind of fetish, which is it's all physical buttons, presumably apart from the Bluetooth angle on it. It's all dials and knobs and buttons, and yeah, there is a battery compartment on the back. I'm not sure what sort of batteries it takes, but clearly you could put some rechargeables in it, whatever size they are, I suppose. It looks like it's probably, I don't know, D size or C, maybe C size batteries. Yeah. And probably takes about 3 or 4, unless it's double depth, in which case it could be 6 or 8, I suppose. Anyway, I'm sure it works on power as well. Yeah, like the look of it, pure nostalgia. No doubt when you buy one, it will be... oh no, hang on a minute, it's got a lithium-ion battery built in, 10 hours of playback. So what's that battery panel on the back for then?
Maybe it's backup battery. You might be able to do that too.
Yeah, or perhaps you can have the choice. Like on a decent Roberts radio these days, you can actually switch it from lithium-ion to or NIMH to alkaline, and you can choose what you want, or have power as well. So maybe they've thought it through even further in that respect. Anyway, very, very nostalgic, very retro, very 1980s. I remember we've done Boombox on the show before in what was that section we used to do?
Harkback.
Harkback, that's the one. We've forgotten already. We did Boomboxes back then, so we won't bang on about it too much. Unless you'd like to, I'll hand over to you.
Well, I have a couple of thoughts of the design. Also, it's Ion, who I have a record player from, and it's not very good at all. Right. But I'm obviously it's just one model I'm judging them on. But I think they're ones that Ion tends to sell through, like Lidl or Aldi or somewhere like that over here as well.
Right.
I think that's where the record player came from, just in a moment of madness. Mm-hmm. But I just think they've tapped into something that I think people want, and that's a bit of a retro bit of hardware like this with dials and knobs and gauges. Those gauges are what instantly attract me to it, and you can see the needles going up and down as the music's playing or whatever, or as the battery drains. I don't know whatever they do, but whoever takes gauges and puts them back into hardware like this is going to make $1 million overnight. This is class for that. We want gauges. We want needles that go up and down, and you hear them clink, especially whenever you turn it on, like that bit in Back to the Future where he turns stuff round and the needles all go up and you get that clink where it hits the pin at the end so it can't go any further. That's what we want out of our boom boxes. Mm-hmm. The big problem I have with it is the fact that it says Street Rocker across the middle of it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy something that has Street Rocker written on it.
You could put a bit of black tape over that.
Well, yes, if I'm given one as a birthday present or something by someone who thinks I'm a twat that wants Street Rocker in my house, I'll have to try and either scrape it off or replace it with black tape. But down the side, I didn't hear you mention this, I don't think, are some controls. Mm-hmm. So there's controls on the top for controlling the tape deck, but then down the side you've got your USB, your SD card, and then there's a bunch of controls under that, which must be for playing back stuff on the USB or SD card. They're not fixed to...
No, those. If you put a USB card in or an SD card in there, you can see that one of those is a folder icon. and
Yeah.
so you'll be able to delete and move. And I don't know how you're going to see what you're doing, mind you. It's not going to be. There's no display, is there?
That's it, yeah. I don't know how that's going to work, unless there was some sort of display, and perhaps the justification for the high price on it is that maybe those little levels are actually LCD screens or something like that, or something simple. And that's why they look a wee bit photoshopped on some of the renders here, or photographs that they have.
Oh no! I reckon no. I reckon it's an app. I reckon it's going to be an app.
Yes, well,
You'll hook it up to your phone or your tablet, and you'll control all that claptrap on there. Mind you,
But then why have buttons
Yeah, exactly,
if
yeah,
you're using an app?
Yeah, exactly.
Back in your box. No, I do. I think we need to have a bit of hands-on time with that. So Ion, fire us one over. We'll have a play with it and see what's going on there. That'd be nice.
One each.
Yes. Also, I hope this kind of works and we get the Yachtsman back. That'd be nice to have a Yachtsman too.
Yeah.
Lose the tape player and put in a bigger speaker.
The Grundig Yachtsman. That was
You
lovely.
could AM, FM, and if they put in DAB as well on an updated one, I'd be very happy with that, because we're coming to something like that in the bargain basement this week, because I want something like that. Sweet. Nice. What's next? Well, that would be... I can't help but piss myself laughing when I read this. Oh, it's so painful. Right, okay. So...
Put it
Brad
together.
Pitt
Come on.
has slammed awful AI scammers who faked a relationship to convince a French woman to send them $855,000. Right. Okay. So this is a story about a French woman who, it seems to be remaining nameless, who was interviewed by a TV show called 7 to 8 or something like that in France, where she revealed that she had been duped by scammers using AI into believing that she was in a relationship with Brad Pitt, who had ended up in hospital and his bank account was frozen because of his divorce with Angelina Jolie, and he sent her some photographs to prove that he was him and that he loved her. She then sent all of her money, which is up to $850,000 to the scammer, and now no longer has any money left. The scammer, who wasn't actually Brad Pitt, I think I should really make that very clear. It wasn't Brad Pitt, and I don't think even Brad Pitt has actually spoken out about this. Is probably enjoying the media speculation that's happening here, and there's a couple of things that makes me wary of this. The first one is obviously her. It makes sense that she's possibly making this up to try to generate a response from Brad Pitt or his people.
Or it's the publication involved trying to get to sell their magazine.
Well, I don't know, because she was interviewed via a TV show, and the TV show pulled it at the last minute, as if something was sus. So the person hasn't been named, and I don't think we have any pictures of the person to see.
Surprise,
what they were
surprise.
about. What we do have is the images that were generated by AI, which is not a great advertisement for AI because they are so poorly done it actually beggars belief. It's like someone who's never used Photoshop before attempting to use Photoshop to put Brad Pitt into a picture. And there's several of them as well. Just looking at them, Ted, I've stuck one in the show notes for you to have a look at with the wording "What the fuck," because it's just so badly done. It's unbelievable.
How ridiculous!
Where he's being operated on by a couple of surgeons, and his head is popping up like something out of a Monty Python animation. The other thing is that this. It actually works in a scammer's favour, this kind of news story, because it makes you think that scams are so painfully poor that you'll never fall for one, because this is the kind of thing that scammers come up with. When in fact, it's not. You know, people out there have been properly, legitimately scammed by horrifying individuals into handing over all of their money. And if you watch Jim Broiling on YouTube, he'll show you just how awful these people can really be. And this kind of makes a mockery of that. And the fact that this becomes a headline story that I didn't just read this morning. I've seen it over the course of the week because I've seen some of the images come out and how funny they really are. And anyone who's reading that's going to go, oh, well, I'll never get scammed because I could see right through that straight away. Yeah, it gets a lot worse than this. This is completely inept. And I think this woman has invented all of this on her phone and sent it out in the hope of generating a response from Brad Pitt, because it's one way that a psycho can get some kind of interaction from a celebrity. Ted, what do you think?
I think that it's the whole thing is just a sham, not a scam. And I think that this woman doesn't exist, and even if she does, then she's in cahoots with the TV show or the magazine. It's just I think it's just a media manipulation in order to get clicks and hits and get podcasters to talk about the stupid story. But I think that the greater problem here is the greater highlight for me is that what you just said really is that legitimate or not legitimate but more convincing attempts at scamming are very worrying. And the one that I spoke to my dad about this week was people getting other people's voices and sampling them. And I said to my dad, if I was to fake, because my voice is out there all over the place on podcasts and has been for years, and I'm not saying that I'd be worthy of targeting by anyone, but I'd be one of the people that would be very easy to sample and do. And I said to my dad, you know, if I was to phone you up and ask you to transfer some money to me in an account that I've just set up, because, then don't believe it until you see me face to face, because, and then I described to him how voice sampling is actually very clever, and he said also, he said that if you phone me up and if someone phoned me up and pretended to be you, I would know it wasn't you, and so that whole thing might work for possibly distant relatives. I said, well, you know, people should ask questions of each other that only they would know the answer to. You know, like, what was my favourite train set when I was 8 years old or something, and double check with people to make sure they're not a robot and not being scammed. I do think that I do understand that people do get scammed, and some of this is really, really clever, but I do also think that people are not on their toes. Perhaps more so old people who are less tech savvy, who don't know that all this is out there. I don't know. But this particular story, I just don't think is true.
Oh, no, absolutely. But that's actually a really good word of advice, and I've heard that quite a lot from people, is that you either exchange personal questions, like a website asks you, you know, what was your mother's maiden name and that kind of thing, which is already pretty much out there. That's being collected, so you can't use that.
Yeah.
But if you have a safe word or something simple like that. I've got a friend whose safe word essentially is you read out the time that you're speaking to them on the phone, where you say, what's the safe word? And they go, oh, it's 12:15.
Yeah.
I was like, right, okay, well, that's you right here, right now, reading out the time. And if that was to happen and it was an AI imposter, then if it's in a different time zone, then they're a bit screwed, really, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. I think people might need that going forward. I'm not sure that we need it right now, generally speaking, but and also people with money are going to be targeted, not like the likes of me with not 2 pennies to rub together. This is more likely to happen to famous people and people in the news and the media, isn't it?
Well, there is the other side. If you've got credit, that's a problem as well, where people can take all of your details and they can apply for credit against your name.
Oh, yeah.
And they receive whatever loan it is and you have to pay it back.
Yeah.
And that's an issue as well. So you've got to have certain things. I've said previously that on websites, and this is becoming increasingly difficult to do, which is really, really pissing me off. Whenever I was signing up for something like Facebook or Twitter or those kinds of places, I had a list of the years that I said I was born in. Because I'm born in a particular year, and I would change that. I'd add on a year for social networks, and I'd take away a year for something else. Mm-hmm. But then some websites are actually able to check that against something else, and that annoyed me that I couldn't put that in. And I'd be able to go back if someone was to, I don't know, apply for something on my behalf and try to steal my identity. I would be able to go, right, okay, well, they've used this year, so that comes from Facebook.
Yeah.
Not that I'm on Facebook, but I was able to do that for a while.
Yeah.
Until they brought in something else that prevented me from doing that. I was like, hang on a second, you're taking away one of the things that I choose for security. You don't need to have my date of birth. Mm-hmm. You just need to know that I'm over 18 to join Pornhub. And I guess that's something that's coming in now as well, because it was voted through that the UK government is actually going to impose a block on pornographic material now as well, where you're going to have to either confirm your date of birth, your credit card details, or whatever with porn sites, who are famously good at keeping people's details safe and secure, and invest a lot of money in doing that. So whenever you go to one of those websites, you have to put in these things, or perhaps provide your facial details. Provide a picture of yourself, and they'll scan your face. Brilliant, wickedly clever. Absolutely, that's going to stamp it out for kids.
Yeah, it is a bit of a concern going forward, though. Absolutely, regardless of this allegedly by me fake story.
No, I agree. I believe it's a fake story as well. I don't think it's as fake as you're putting across. I think that the French woman has done this and tried to dupe the TV show, and they've maybe pulled it because they just can't quantify it. And if it goes out, it'll probably reduce their legitimacy a wee bit, or their fact checking or whatever. And they can't stand over it as true because the images just look so poor.
I think we should
and it's all been picked up from that.
Yeah, I think we should publish your 2 examples in the MeWe group at least, though, so people can see them. They're very funny.
Well, I'll mention it here. I've put one in which I spotted on Reddit, where someone said yes, they can be very, very serious. There's a Facebook Messenger, I think. Your friends on Facebook, not Kanye, but Kanye. Where it says, "Hello, this is Kanye West, the real one. Can you send me $100? I need it for a bit. If you do, you can meet Travis Scott. He's with me. Hello, this is Travis." All in the same conversation, and obviously someone has gone, this must be legitimate, and sent it through because Travis and Kanye need $100 from that one person. And there's a couple of other examples as well, which is worth investigating.
Very funny.
Yeah. Well, that's the British sense of humour, isn't it? It really is just you like to laugh at people who have been a bit more misfortunate than yourself.
Or a more stupid.
Well, yes, yeah. And I think this French lady has tried to be clever about things, but ultimately her Photoshop skills need to be jazzed up a wee bit.
Mm-hmm.
Wee bit. A lot. Right, moving on to the next story, which is a tale of terror. Absolute tale of terror.
Not another one.
This pertains to a man called Roman Zip, who has put up a blog post on romanzip.com, his own blog, and it was covered in Ars Technica. And it was quite an interesting story, and it made me think And it made me boil over a wee bit during the week. I read it first and thought, no, well, I suppose that's the way of it. But as the days went on, it sat in the back of my mind and I started getting a bit more annoyed about it, to the point where I went, that's it. We need to discuss this as men. And we're discussing it as men. Well, more so Ted. I'll just be a bit more ladylike and in the background. Wave her a bit. So this is about Roman has purchased himself a Canon PowerShot G5X Mark II, which is a camera. It's a camera designed for taking still images and doing videos. It's a very nice camera at that. And it cost him about $900 last year to purchase. And as you do with a camera, you want to be able to use it for various different things, to take different pictures, or studio pictures, maybe portraiture, maybe landscapes, maybe stream a little video, or do a little video of a car racing down the street or something like that. It's your camera. You get to use it for all kinds of things, filming a christening, or the baby's first steps or whatever. And in his case, he's decided, I don't really like the webcam in my laptop, so this has a facility to become a web camera. So he set it up and he's gone to use it, but found out that in order to use it, he has to download software from Canon's frankly poor website, their EOS webcam utility, from servers that fail frequently, and then once you get it, there's a free user account and then there's a pro user account. And the pro user allows you to manipulate the settings in the camera. And it turns on a bunch of extra settings that allows you to use at the cost of $5 a month for this software. And that software allows you a wireless connection of one camera. The free user, all you're allowed is the default scene and one connection. I think of a wired camera that would be. Whereas the pro user allows you the default scene. You're allowed custom scenes as well. There's multiple, it says, not a particular amount or open or whatever. It says multiple, so that means you probably have to download a bunch of their own backdrops or something like that. You're allowed a wireless connection. Up to 5 cameras can be connected at once. UVC video input support, yes. Camera setting controls, which can be controlled from the UI. I think that's the UI of the software as opposed to the UI of the camera. That'd be a bit of a pain in the ass to have to fiddle about with the back of the camera while you're trying to use it. 60 frames per second, full HD support, video input layout options, fill and fit screen, flip, rotate, resize the video input, crop it and put in a watermark if you want to. Transition scenes, hotkey settings, and Windows capture. So to be able to capture it, record it whenever you're using it. And that costs you $5 a month. This isn't just bundled software that Canon are putting in for extra value. No, they're charging you to be able to use this. And it got me thinking that, right, okay, so this is probably fallout from the pandemic, whenever people were at home and having to work from home, and they maybe want to up their game whenever it comes to using the shoddy cameras that are on laptops. You might be able to plug one into your laptop. I've tinkered with the idea, but I'm not going to in the end, because I like the shoddy webcam because it shows me in quite a good light. I actually look kind of handsome in its VHS type ripply way, with poor lighting and all that kind of thing. If the less you see of me, the better it is. So putting on a big 4K display or a camera that can capture you might not be the best idea for you at 60 frames per second. Also, this is an issue in that it's a bit of hardware that you buy. You buy a camera because you want to use it as a camera, and this is a camera function. You could say it's a web camera function, but what's a web camera? It's a camera that streams over the internet. This has the ability to do that. Why not do that? People do this whenever they're live broadcasting. I remember going to tech shows where you'd have people with a camera set up and it'd be plugged into a laptop and it would be streaming that stream up to the internet for everyone to see. So Canon have gone, we can make some money out of that. Let's do that. Let's charge them $5 a month to be able to do that with their camera that they bought. Imagine if they did this to a car. You go out tomorrow and buy yourself a Toyota Yaris. and and you don't particularly like the car, but you're an enthusiast about motorsport, and you decide, I'm going to race this car at the weekends down at Nuts Corner or one of the local circuits, and you go down with all your buddies who are into motor racing as well, and you race your Toyota Yaris around the course because you're into car racing. That car was designed to tootle about streets, not for car racing, but you're choosing to use it as a racing machine. Should you have to pay Toyota a monthly subscription to be able to do that?
What was it that cars? This rings a bell. Didn't we speak a while ago about a car manufacturer who had locked something behind a subscription?
Tesla do it a lot, and BMW and Mercedes are now doing it.
What do they lock behind the subscription?
Well, there's the likes of I think we'll use Tesla as an example because I knew what it is.
Mm-hmm.
The self-driving function is built into every Tesla, and you have to pay £5,000 or something like that to unlock it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And BMWs are shipping out with all the features in it, and then you just pay a subscription fee or something like that for them to be able to unlock each feature that you want to use.
I think the BMW one, I seem to remember, is something to do with the locking of the car, the mechanism of driving it but face recognition, wasn't it? Which is built into the car, but it's not turned on. It's not switched on. And
okay.
Yeah, I think that was it. Anyway, yeah. The story here really is that you pay quite a lot of money for a piece of hardware, and then you've got to pay an extra. It's a bit like actually the Sony Xperia cameras. So they come with this. This application installed on the ROM, so you can't not have it, and it's called Music Pro, and you record snippets of music on it, and you can save it for up to a maximum of 10 minutes, but the higher level features are behind this paywall with Sony, which is again about £5 a month, and you pay them. You can then upload the audio you've recorded, and then they do their magic with it and offer you all these bells and whistles. It's the same thing really. It's that you pay a lot of money for a piece of hardware like this camera, and there's stuff locked behind a paywall. And yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a bit of a poor show, frankly, but it's the way it is, I suppose.
Well, I think the way to look at it is probably by genre. I think that might be the best way to look at it. You have cameras, which are a genre, and then you have subgenres, which are different types of cameras. So if you have a compact camera, a web camera, an SLR, or those sorts of things, then they all come under that genre. So you go out to buy a camera, you expect to be able to use most of the features of the subgenres, maybe not compact cameras and DSLRs and things like that. That's more of a type of camera, but they all do the same thing whenever it comes to cameras, some better, some worse. If you're looking to add in extra features that aren't a camera, then you should have to be able to pay, you could pay a subscription for it. So if you want to for lack of a better idea, if you wanted to use different backgrounds or something like that whenever you are webcasting, then yes, I could understand Canon saying, here's some paid content that you can have, and you can download a better backdrop, which is maybe a nice image that makes it look better than some of the standard stock stuff, but not basic features of the camera. The camera does video at 60 frames per second. Locking that behind a paywall whenever you've bought the camera because it does 60 frames per second can't be legal.
Apparently it is.
Well, I think that I don't think it can be legal because I imagine it advertises it on the back of the box that it does video up to 60 frames per second. And if you take that, plug it into your camera, you're expecting video at up to 60 frames per second. But they're saying, no, you're going to have to pay $5 a month to get that. That's not right.
They usually got a little thing that says asterisk with subscription.
But if you take it out and then just start filming Fenton chasing some reindeer across a field, and that's a really old obscure joke that I'm sure people Someone somewhere's probably got, and you film that just directly on the camera, you might be able to get that at 60 frames per second because the feature's built in. But whenever you plug it into the laptop, the feature is then not available to you because you're using it for a different purpose. That's not right. That's not cool, man.
Shocking.
I'm just on the Canon power. Right, so it says 4K movies, 120 frames per second, full HD movies. Oh, that would be nice to be able to use as a webcam. Oh, wait, you probably have to pay even more to get 120 frames per second. Maybe that's the HD bundle that they'll launch. No, it says movies. Yeah, 120 frames per second.
Everything's
so what I expect.
Everything's going subscription now, though, isn't it? You know, just everything. You know, we talk on Projector Room, our other podcast, about subscriptions to watching films and TV shows, and they want a revenue flow. They don't want to just sell the hardware. But then you would think that the knock-on impact of that for the likes of Canon and Sony would be that, all right, you make the hardware a bit cheaper and we'll buy into $5 a month for the next 2 years, but let's see a reduction of $240 on the buying price of the device. But of course, that's not how the world works. They want their cake and eat it.
Yes, that's true. And also you expect continual support. I would like to think that if he's paying $5 a month, he will get several updates. There won't be a single bug in that software at all. But, you know, as highlighted quite early on in his blog, whenever he goes to try to download the webcam utility that he would have to pay for, the Canon servers fail frequently. And I know that from Canon as well, because I've had to do that in the past, and I think Panasonic are guilty of that too. But at least Panasonic aren't actually charging you to do anything there. It's just, yeah, we put some servers up. We can take 5 people max. We're not spending money on this. Anyway, there you go. That's another grumble.
Yes.
So, moving into the next story. Ted, what exactly is a sex toy?
I think that mostly this story is relating to vibrating sex toys, things that you stick into orifices and get titillated in more ways than one.
Your own, or does it have to be your own? Can you put it into other people's?
With their permission.
Good answer.
Particularly with parallel parking. Let's not go there. So this story is about sex toys being hijacked by attackers, blah, blah, blah. Data leaks possible, blah, blah, blah. But it's more... The bit about it that was... more interesting was that, and I genuinely had no idea that you could get sex toys that ran on Bluetooth somehow. I'm not even sure what you do with the Bluetooth. You know, presumably you control it, whatever it's doing. You control it from an app on your phone. I must be a bit naive and green to not know this, I suppose. I should be watching more Pornhub stuff or whatever. So
it gets a lot of airplay on this show, doesn't it?
Yes. So they've done this study which reckons that that this data is being nicked and that people are at risk of being hijacked, and the mind boggles as to what they're going to do with it. The hijackers are going to do with this. They hijack the Bluetooth connectivity, and a person is using one of these vibrating toys, and for some reason, someone sitting in a basement somewhere has hijacked it, and they turn it on to maximum power. What for the sport, and they won't be able to see what's going on. Well, unless they hijack the app as well, I suppose. It was just a kind of probably a serious story in some respects, but it just seemed like a bit of a funny to me. But apologies to anyone who thinks it's not funny and it's a real problem. But the future concerns about sex robots. I noticed that. CES this month that they were very specifically saying with these robots that were kicking about that they don't have genitals. This is not a sex toy. It's not a sex robot. They do not have genitals. They are only here to mop up your cat piss and not.
Is that an optional extra?
Yes. So it's not like that lovely TV show with Gemma Chan, Humans, where naughty daddy could have his evil way with the robot. No, these robots are not for sex. It's got to come soon, surely. Mrs.
Right.
You know, I mean, for goodness sake. Actually, I wasn't that impressed with some of those robots at CES. I thought that the Japanese ones and the Chinese ones, rather, that they were making them look much more human. Anyway, back to the story. Hijacked sex toys, is it a problem for you?
I don't think so, but I do remember watching a proper movie that was on TV, as opposed to something on your favourite website. It involved a girl who was, I can't even remember what the film's called. They were in some sort of well, obviously there's studios where they've got bunches of different cameras set up and different girls in each cubicle doing things, and I can just about remember the film. It started with Cam something, but there was a girl who, she would be taking tips from people, and they were able to interact with the UI on the screen and turn up and down the speed of the device that she was using.
Oh, right.
and that made me think, oh wow, right, okay, so there is some sort of internet connectivity to these devices. It's not just like, you know, you can't sort of hook it up to Samsung Health and see how many calories you've burnt today by using your rampant rabbit. Which I suppose maybe you can, I don't know. But obviously there's like, oh right, okay, that information could be leaked. Could that information then do anything with it? Can people hack in and then as you say, whack it up to 11 and you can't turn it off. But obviously you can remove it from yourself and go, oh my word, I'm not using that again. Or maybe, oh my word, that's the best thing ever. I don't know. Or could they turn it up to 12, 13, 14 and just put it off the chart, cause it to explode? It's very much a very odd problem for people to have, but I can understand why some people may be connecting it to the internet, but I can't imagine why the average housewife would be connecting this to the internet. It's not like it's going to link into Facebook and show like people do with their Garmins and things like that. I did a 6-mile run. I did a 27-minute marathon in the basement today. With this, it's not something to boast about. So,
I think it's more likely to come about where sex toys are actually robots, I think, and they've got cameras in the eyes, and they can see what you're doing, and then you get footage uploaded to the internet, and then you get blackmailed if you don't cop up money, or because you've been seen knobbing a sex robot.
But who's going to buy one with cameras in it?
Well, if you buy a robot like Gemma Chan's character in Humans, then you would buy it to have sex with it, and it's going to have cameras in it because it's got eyes, and the thing is going to work because it can see or perceive imagery in front of it. So you can see how it could somewhere down the line be a problem, I think, for people who use sex robots.
Yeah, but they're probably sex workers, if anything. So that would enhance their customer interaction.
Yeah, but then you can...
But for Mrs. Roberts down the road, who goes and orders herself what Brad Pitt looked like, and has it shipped over, if it's got cameras in there, that's... She really needs her head examined. That's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yes. Well, I suppose we just really wanted to include it to have a bit of a chat about it because we're edgy.
I've learned a few things anyway.
And your bank account is now empty. All right, okay. Well, that's the end of the news. We can have a wee chat about the things that you want to chat about. Ted, what's on the agenda today?
Well, I think the hot news today is Sunday. It's Sunday the 19th today, and today is the day that they turned off TikTok in the United States of America. And sure enough, along came late Saturday night, in fact it was, and TikTok have turned it off. So it hasn't been something that the US government have actually switched off, but they were threatening the App Store runners that they could charge them $5,000 per installation. If they didn't remove them from the app stores, per installation they could get fined $5,000 if they let anyone download the TikTok app in America or indeed update it or anything else. So ByteDance took the bull by the horns and said, we've had enough of this, we're going to just turn it off anyway. And so late Saturday evening, last night, they turned it off. And if American users tried to go to the TikTok app, they get a statement that says, you can't use TikTok for now. We are fortunate that President Trump has indicated that he will work with us on a solution to reinstate TikTok once he takes office. Stay tuned. And if you read the press this morning, that there seems to be a suggestion that Trump might be trying to work out a 90-day extension to turn it back on Monday when he takes office. But the trouble is, for any reversal of this, is that the law is set in motion in America. I mean, it's been set in motion for the last 5 years, and in order to turn it around, I'm not even sure that even the president himself can just switch the switch back on. So that's to be seen, and the lawmakers in America will be deciding what to do with that. Or Trump might, I suppose, just throw his hands up and say, I can't be bothered with this. Everyone's cleared off to YouTube Shorts now anyway. They've all gone to the irony of ironies, another Chinese thing called RedNote, which is called Xiaohingshu. And they've all cleared off over there anyway. They're all using Threads anyway. They've told that they spent the last week in America telling all their customers, the people that make it work for people financially on TikTok, to where they're jumping ship to. And frankly, they might take the view, well, it's sorted itself out anyway. So it's still working here, incidentally. I tested it this morning, and it's still working, as I'm sure it is anywhere else in the world, except for America. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. But just before I finish, I will say that I did have a fresh look this week at the YouTube Shorts service, which I had previously declared, even on this show, is certainly second rate to TikTok. I think the TikTok algorithms are really clever. It's not surprising they don't want to let it go and sell it, because they have been, up to now, just much better. They learn from people using it really, really well. They know what you like, they know what you don't like, they serve you up the stuff that they know that you're going to favour and spend more time with. It just works really, really well. Well, the news this week is my fresh comparison, is that, as you might expect, Google are onto this as well, and possibly Threads and whoever else is out there doing it. But the YouTube Shorts experience this week was very similar. It was learning very efficiently and quickly from me. And as I say, you'd expect Google to get on the ball with this, and I think they have. And frankly, when I was scrolling through YouTube Shorts this week, by the end of the week, it was almost indistinguishable from being on TikTok, frankly. Yes, it's laid out a bit differently, but the content is pretty much the same. These people that post to TikTok, they also post everywhere else as well. So, you know, for me, if TikTok disappeared, it really wouldn't be a big problem. The big problem is for people that have made a living from it, and they're making money from it, because all the shops are shut and they can't go down to Tesco's and get a job. Well, not Tesco in America, Asda, no, Walmart, and they've made a living from it, and suddenly that revenue stream is taken away from them. But as I say, I think that most of them that saw this coming are taking steps to try and correct that. It's a bit of a hot potato, though, politically as well. It's all about the trade war and blah blah blah. Let's not get political, though. So that's my say. Any thoughts?
Well, I don't really. I haven't used TikTok that much. I installed it after you banged on about it for a while, and then uninstalled it after about a week. But I do find it a bit peculiar in two ways. Firstly, that RedNote is that they were actually having trouble keeping up with getting everything translated because they're indigenous, or their normal language is Mandarin Chinese, and they had to get everything translated all over into various different languages to keep up with America joining joining RedNote, the influx of people. So it's another Chinese company that's not being banned by the US. But I don't quite understand why this is all happening now, because it was back in, 2020 that Trump himself was going all out on TikTok, going he's going to ban TikTok in the US. Yeah. And here we are 4 years later, and it's Trump who's maybe going to allow it back in again, which is bizarre. It's obviously American politics, and that's not what we want to get into, but it's a bit of a peculiar thing for things. A bit of a strange turn of events, really. I don't know what to expect with that. But yes, YouTube Shorts is all right. It's a fair enough time waster.
Yeah.
I think it's a mess. I hate going down YouTube Shorts, and you go from one completely different genre to another, where you're watching something quite comedic, then it'll move to a news thing, and then it'll move to something else. And I've been using it for a good long while. I just find it to be really inconsistent in what you're getting.
No, but it will learn. It will learn from you. If you quickly swipe away the stuff you're not interested in, it does learn. And TikTok,
I've been doing that for ages.
Well, TikTok was.
I want to watch gaming videos right now, and I'll skip over the news quite quickly. But no, the news still keeps coming hard and fast.
Well, TikTok were particularly good at that, as I say, and I thought that YouTube Shorts had got better.
Well, I don't believe it has. All right, well, we'll move into the bargain basement. Obviously, TikTok's just going to... Well, if it ever comes in here, Ted, what will you do?
I don't. I would, as I say, I think YouTube Shorts is just as good now. Well, almost as good, and I don't really care, frankly. I do feel a bit sorry for those that can't get a job, and they're making some money from it, though.
Yeah, they're losing a revenue stream, which is always going to come about, and people can't piss and moan about that. It's the internet. Revenue streams come and go.
Exactly. And talking of Americans...
Remember Daily Motion? Remember putting videos up there? Remember before YouTube, when YouTube was YouTube and not owned by Google? Well, putting videos on there.
Yeah, Daily Motion. That's still going. I found a film on there last week that I couldn't find anywhere else. Hurrah!
Yes, it's good for illegally putting stuff on. Yeah. Okay, so bargain basement. We're going to start off, Ted, with you.
Yes, one for our American listeners, because it's not available in the UK. On Amazon.com, you can buy the Motorola Razr Plus or the Razr 50 Ultra in the rest of the world at half price. And actually, I think it's the best flip phone out there, because I had one and I thought it was really, really nice. And if I was going to use a flip phone, that would be the one. Anyway, it's half price. It started off at £1,000 and it's now $499, and that is the 256GB version, not the 512 one that I had instantly. But even so, $499, absolute bargain, half price.
Excellent, nice. It's a good looking phone, that. Well, if you're American as well. Next up is a little thing that popped up, and I thought, I quite like this because it was in response to your Boombox, and it's a little portable DAB radio with DAB Plus, Bluetooth, USB. It's got rechargeable batteries, FM radio built in, and I just thought it was really quite cool for £25.49. It's the Mycket, M-Y-C-K-E-T. It's a groovy wee radio, and I was thinking in post-apocalyptic times this might work. It doesn't have AM, which is a bit of a but it could be a nice wee backup radio that just works. I can't imagine the speaker's going to be particularly good, but most of the reviews are genuinely good. And I thought it looks quite dinky and sweet.
Yeah, it's just
and
dinky,
I've got
isn't
it in my basket.
5.5 inches by 3 inches by 1.6 inches. It looks really nice, you're right. I like the look of that. It's got an earphone socket and a USB-C charging. Presumably the battery's built in. Yeah, that looks really
Yeah.
nice. At 25 quid, eh?
Well, yeah. By this time next week, I might actually have it. I might. It might be one of those things that it's just, oh, I'd like that today, and then tomorrow I'll be no. I'll spend my money on something slightly better. But 25 quid, it's a grand wee thing to throw in your backpack whenever the apocalypse comes, which could be by next Saturday.
Yes,
Who
indeed.
knows?
It's very, very tiny. You're absolutely right. Now, do you remember the Arzopa portable monitor 15.6-inch version with 1080p screen? Someone, somewhere, a while back, I think we covered it, said that they did a load of testing on the available screens, portable monitors, and they declared that this was the best one, and it was the most, for bang for buck and all the rest of it, but also the quality of it. Anyway, this has been reduced. It's 42% off. It's 79 quid instead of 140, and I thought it was just worth mentioning. Yeah, because if you want something to chuck in your bag and have for your, I don't know, your B-Link mini PC when you get to where you're going, this could be the one. So yeah, very nice.
It is, yeah. There's a picture of someone who's integrated it into their desktop with Marshall speakers and all that.
Hey,
I want to be there, actually, to be honest. It looks really good. He's got two of them. That's cool. Really cool. 79 quid. Right. Next up is, it's a vertical mouse, actually, made by Ugreen. So there's two good things there. It's a 4000 DPI optical tracking, 57 degrees ergonomic angle with 6 buttons and 12 months of battery life. I don't know if that means that you have to get rid of it after 12 months or it holds battery life for 12 months. There's 4 adjustable DPI levels, and it's wireless and silent for your laptop. I've been thinking about getting one of these for my work laptop just to cut down on the old carpals, because carpals ain't good. But it does come with a USB type thing that you have to stick in, and hopefully that works. But I think it has Bluetooth. It does. It's got Bluetooth as well, so it should work that way too. Looks tremendously comfortable, and it takes a AA battery.
hurrah! Very nice. I tried to use.
Oh, it's $19.99 actually. I should highlight.
No, it's $16.99.
What?
Yeah. It's been reduced 15% off. Unless you live in Northern Ireland, then it's not, obviously.
I see that. Yeah, that's $19.99 here.
Well, in England, or Wales in this case, it's $16.99. What I was going to say was that I tried a vertical mouse, I don't know, about a year ago or 2 years ago, and I really, really couldn't get onto it at all. I understand what you're saying about being good, better position for your wrists and all the rest of it, but I really tried for a couple of weeks, and I gave up in the end. That was an Anchor one, but yeah, you tried and you're okay with it, are you?
I've had one in the past and I quite liked it, and there's a colleague in work who has it, so I just I figured I'd maybe I have the MX Master, and turning it over and pressing the button to switch between devices is actually turning to be a bit of an anguish now. I'm tired of doing it, so it would be nice to have two different mice and just move my hand to the other mouse whenever I want to use my work computer to my home computer. Work computer, home computer.
Yeah. You'd think that you'd be able to map the buttons on the side to do that, wouldn't you? I never thought about that. Anyway. Right.
What's next?
Samsung Galaxy Watch 7 is next. 26% off, down from £289 to £214. This is the 40mm version. Very nice indeed. And if you've got a watch, Galaxy Watch 5 or 6 or even 4, then look away. But if you haven't, then the Watch 7 is the one to go for. And it is reduced to its lowest price yet, I think. The 44mm one, is that on sale as well? Oh yeah, it is. So the 44mm one is reduced by this same 24%. So it's 244 instead of 319. So yeah, very nice indeed. Oh look, I'm being offered £48 a month for 5 months on that.
Ah, right, okay. Well, that makes for an interesting little bargain or a Christmas present for a loved one.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, hang on a sec. It's January, isn't it? Right. Next up is DJI Osmo Mobile 6. This is a 3-axis phone gimbal, which has object tracking and built-in extension rod. It's portable and foldable, and it works with Android and iPhone. It's good for vlogging, and it's got a stabilizer. It can work on YouTube and TikTok. I don't know if America knows of this thing. It's TikTok. It's a video distribution service, and it comes in slate grey. It's been reduced in price from £145 down to £89, which is a saving of 39%. However, if you're Ted, he probably gets it for like £3 or something.
89 quid. No. It's funny, isn't it, how sometimes in Northern Ireland it's different, even though we're accessing the same version of Amazon, really. Very odd.
But I'm actually not logged into this version of Amazon on my Brave browser.
Oh, right.
So it gives me what other people might experience. It's raw.
I did see someone using one of these gimbal. I've never used one, but it was just so clever. You know, how it does what it does is just amazing. So there is that. And almost as amazing is Steve Litchfield's DJI Neo drone thingy. Steve's gone all drone mad. He started posting videos on his YouTube channel of him using this drone thingy, and actually it does look very good. It looks very well done. The news here, though, thanks to Mike Warner for spotting it, is that this one of his, the Neo, is reduced at Curry's from 169 quid to 119 quid. So jump in there if you want to go droning on with Steve.
That sounds like a quality program that we need to put together. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all of them, innit?
It is.
Yeah. That brings us to an end and at a very respectable time. A wee bit longer than last week. Oh, crikey, we're getting closer to the 2 hours every week. Right, well, if you want to get in touch with us, you can by emailing us at gareth@techaddicts.uk. You can find me on Twitter too, at Gareth Miles. That's GarethMyles. There's also my Mastodon and my Blue Sky, but I have my GarethMiles.com. And I've spelt it the same way as I traditionally spell my name, with that Y. Ted, where can they find you?
TedSalmon.com. All the links are there. Audio podcasts and also all the MeWe groups, which you can join us in, natter to us about tech and all sorts of other topics. If you want to buy me a coffee, that's at paypal.me/TedSalmon. It was a bit hopeful to try and get this down to 45 minutes, wasn't it? 45 minutes with the outside an hour, and now we're on an hour and a quarter. So, but still, it's not 2 hours, is it?
No, it's not, and it's me prattling on and going off on one with Brad Pitt scams and things like that. Can't help myself.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. Well, we'll catch us all next week. Take care now.
Bye.